Hi, Flip.
Welcome to this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show and podcast. I am your host, Christine. I am delighted all the way from beautiful Canada to have Sarah. Welcome, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. And I know that we're going to have some epic conversations today. And most people know that I get completely carried away. So I can go, let's dive into the questions because I get so excited. So, but I'll just pause for a moment. And I'm going to hand over to you to introduce yourself. And then I know that we're going to have some amazing conversations today.
Awesome. Thank you very much. My name is Sarah Kahn. I am the founder of Corporate Rehab Strategic Consulting, which is a boutique business advisory firm. I left corporate to launch my own consultancy and tapped into 20 years of experience. And now I help my clients by crafting clear, direct paths to success using my DragonFIRE framework.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. So, another fellow corporate escapist, which I love the fact with it. What has sort of been like that sort of aha moment that you've had since leaving corporate and starting your business?
Well, there have been a lot. I think the most poignant one was, oh, I actually do get to decide how I want to do things and when I want to do them
Yeah.
and what's a priority. And it sounds ridiculous to say that, but it is such a departure from the way in which we are programmed and trained in corporate spaces and traditional workplaces. So that was huge. And that's probably the one of a few things that took the most work to
Yes.
actually be okay with.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Because, in every aspect of our life, we have a choice.
Yeah.
However, sometimes we feel especially when you work in a very masculine sort of industry as well, which most of mine were,
Yeah.
you feel, I guess, suffocated to be able to make those choices.
Yeah. Yeah. I come from a very male-centric, male-dominated environment as
Mm,
well for most of my career, actually. And yeah, it's really hard to feel like it's okay to choose, for example, your kids. It's okay to
yeah.
choose not to show up in a certain way. It's okay to wear t-shirts to work. Like there's so many
Yes.
little things we take for granted.
Yeah.
But we're probably 5 or 6 years in now. I can't even remember, but it's now just starting to feel comfortable.
Yeah, I love that so much
Yeah.
for you. And I think the more that we go on this journey, like you're saying, we have multiple of those sort of aha moments. And I sort of sat there the other day and I'm like, oh wow, like I didn't realize how like I was girly in the fact that I, had my hair, my makeup done, like all that sort of stuff, and
Mhm.
wore jewelry, but I wore suits,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was just to fit in, to that environment, which is a very interesting sort of pathway. What about your clients? Like, what's one of the major sort of conversations that you have when you're, talking about, their own pathway and sort of letting them, again, like making those choices? What are some of the
Yeah.
main conversations that you're having with them?
One of the biggest ones I think is, I mean, there are the usual things like you get to decide how you want to do this, you get to be the boss, you get to make your decisions.
Mhm.
But I think the biggest thing that I've noticed, particularly with other corporate escapees, is this idea of self-trust, right? It's something that a lot of newer entrepreneurs and some seasoned ones really struggle with, this idea that you do know what you want and you
Mm,
do know how you want to do it. And you don't have to listen to the noise. There's so much noise
yeah,
in this space. And what I like to tell my clients is everything works.
yeah.
Everything. The only thing you need to do is figure out which pathway feels best for you. Because if you put the work in, it's going to work.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it has to align so that you actually want to get up every morning and do the work.
Absolutely. And I think like the biggest thing that I discovered was the values. Like I was living and breathing company values, but I never had my
Yes.
own values. And I guess that's the alignment piece that you're talking about is your own
Yeah, it's
values.
It's one of the very, very first things I do with everybody. And most people will say, oh, I know what my values are. I'm like, do you really though? Because I
Mm,
don't take them through the traditional, here's a sheet of paper with 100 values on it, circle the ones that align the best. Like I have a very different method that I use, but it's always such a delightful surprise when
Yes.
people go through the exercises and go, oh,
Yes.
actually, I didn't realize these things were important to me, or I wasn't allowed to feel like these things were important to me. And sometimes it's such a mind shift for them.
Yeah.
But once they do that, they realize, oh, okay, now I understand why this path wasn't aligning, or this didn't feel good, or why I was struggling or procrastinating on something. We don't give a lot of credence to how important the values piece is.
Yes. Absolutely. And do you also find that once people have worked with you, the 3 months or 6 months, that they actually start to see a shift in their values from when they initially came in?
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's like anything. I don't think change happens until you take action.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many of us, and I'm guilty of it too. Like I've done it, and then sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I continue to do it. But there's this feeling of until everything is perfect and I know exactly how it's going to turn out, I'm not going to do anything.
Mm,
But it only like really comes together when you take action.
yes.
And so take it messy, take the leap and do the thing. And that's when the clarity comes. But then, yeah, that's also when people are like, actually, I realized that this is what's important to me. Case in point, I had a client the other day who, it's only in taking the leap and signing clients and not worrying about finding the perfect clients that, fit her ideal client avatar or whatever,
Mm,
that she started to realize that actually her ideal client avatar isn't the right person. And that
yes.
there's a whole bunch of characteristics
Yes.
that she wants her future
Yeah.
clients to have because these people didn't, like, she didn't even think about that. So
Yeah.
it's doing, right? That brings up the truth for people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like going back to like that child state. Like you stand in front of like the ice cream store going, oh, what flavor? Oh, I only like chocolate, strawberry, vanilla. But
Yeah.
unless you've tried it, how do you know if you like it? And I think that's when we step into our own truths and we actually start living life on our own terms. How do we know we like something unless we
Yeah.
actually try it?
You got to try it. And it's okay for it to be like a dud. It's okay for you to turn around and say, actually, that sucked. I don't want to do that. I mean, we seem to have this like when you think about how many times you've changed career or changed your hair color, or like we're so okay with changing so many other facets of our lives. But when it comes to our business, too many people feel like that first thing that I decided I was going to do, that's the only thing I'm allowed to do. You're allowed to pivot. Yeah, and I mean, granted, there's a fine balance you have to strike. You can't just pivot all the time when something doesn't work, right? But you are allowed to change your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it also comes down to the fact that like a lot of coaches that I worked with at the start, they're going, oh, you have to just niche down. And I actually really felt a disconnect with that because I'm multi-passionate about so many
Yes.
different things. So I sort of like going, well, if you're multi-passionate, like do everything that you love. Like you
Mhm.
will work out where you're going to spend most time on one thing anyway, but do it
Yeah.
all and like just
Yeah.
try it.
Try it out. I think that's one of the things I had a problem with when I started because I'm also multi-passionate. I like to do a lot of things. I can do a lot of things. And so what I decided to do for myself was, less the niche and less the characteristics, or less the niche, more the characteristics of the person,
Yes.
right? So like I can help with X, Y, Z, ABC, but you need to be this kind of person for me to want to work with you.
Yes.
And I've found for me that just works better
Yeah.
than I'm going to niche into a particular industry or sector or whatever, because everybody needs what I do. So.
Yeah, no, and I love that so much. I think, it's when you think about like it's almost like dating. Like who is
Yeah.
the ideal partner? That is literally your ideal client. Like
Yeah.
don't think of it as, um, you know, always got to have like tall, all this sort of stuff, all these characteristics. And I'm only saying that now because like I'm started to obviously think I'm going to start dating again. So you sort of like go, oh, hang on, what am I looking for? But it is like with clients. And when you bring that aspect into it, it's amazing how many different clients will come in from different areas. It's almost like, oh, where did they come from? Because
Yeah.
now you're open to receive more than just
Yeah.
limit in that one little container.
Yeah. Because if you're only looking for tall, dark, and handsome,
Yes.
you're going to miss all the other super hot dudes.
Oh yeah,
or
absolutely.
dudettes, right? Like that you could absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
you might get along with them. And I think
Yeah.
it's, and this is why I don't like the ideal client avatar exercise because
Yeah.
it's so limited, right? It doesn't take into
Yeah.
account personality match.
No, absolutely. How much is it important also too for you to understand your personality when you're in business?
Well, that's a loaded question. I think it's important, but I have to caveat this because if you go far enough back on my social media, you will see that I was the cookie cutter. I had like the pink and the blue logo because those were the colors that would appeal to my IC. Like I did all of the things I was told to do, and I carried my professional persona into my business, right? Like my corporate persona. And it has taken a lot of years and a lot of work and just a lot of frustration for me to actually be comfortable with my actual personality
Yeah.
leading my business.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, like, some people call me abrasive, some people say I'm aggressive, more people say that I'm just direct and fun and they can trust me. So, I mean, you're going to have whatever opinion you have, but I will
Mm.
say that when I finally stepped into my personality, how I work, how I show up, my sassy t-shirts, my red hair, whatever, my cussing, because I cuss all the time,
Yes.
um, my business took off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it took off and I started attracting dream clients.
Yes.
And I
Uh,
wish that I had unleashed the chaos a little bit sooner.
yeah, I hear you on that. Absolutely. And I think also too, it's removing that corporate identity so much so that we've lived their mission, their purpose, their values. You have to show up a certain way. Um, it's almost like undoing all of this up here to really
Yeah.
come back into self,
Yeah.
to own it.
Yeah. Because in corporate, how you look, how you present is what's valued. And what I say is in your business, professional doesn't equal credible,
Yeah.
right? You may look the part, but can you do the job? Because that's what's important. And me showing up in t-shirts and sweatpants and red hair, it doesn't affect my ability to
Mm.
do the job you hired me to do. And so that's why, again, I say personality match is so important because I don't want to work with somebody who has a problem with me dropping the F sharp every once in a while,
No,
in a
me neither.
conversation.
It's actually one of my screening questions. I'm like, and I hope you don't mind swearing, and I hope actually you don't mind a little bit of spirituality because, like, I will talk about it, but just as a
Yeah.
reference point, you don't need it. So I think when you start to fully embrace yourself, like you said, those dream
Yes.
clients do come out.
Yeah.
I'd love to ask you that when you have been on this beautiful business journey over the last few years, what have you discovered? Obviously, I noticed that there has been a big shift in people as well. But what's one of
Mhm.
the big things that you've discovered about being in business over the last couple of years?
That everything has a cycle.
Mm,
The same, like you'll see the same problems and the same stories come around if you're in business long enough.
yeah.
Um, and I think also, and some people might not like me saying this, but I'm going to say it and it's going to sound how it sounds. Um, again, everything works and nobody is really having a bad year,
Yeah.
right? Things are always going to happen. If you go back and look at the history of your life, something's always happening. That's just how it is.
Mm,
And I'm not going to discount the fact that sometimes tragedy strikes and things like that. But in the everyday, if your business isn't working, before you blame anything else, look at what you do every day.
yes.
And that is something that time and time again, right? It just keeps coming up. And it's something that I've learned is usually, I'd say about 80% of the time, the actual problem. When
Mm,
you sit down at your laptop every day, what are you actually doing? And
yeah.
are you doing the things that are actually meant to grow your business? Because if you're not, it's not Mercury retrograde. It's not, where the stars are today. It's
Yeah.
it's not the year, it's not COVID, it's not any of those things.
Yeah.
So start here.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that so much. I'd love to, obviously when people are looking to come on this pathway with you, what are some of the things that you can really help them with on that journey when they're working with you?
Oh gosh. Navigating, leaving your corporate persona behind
Yeah.
and building a business that aligns with the truest essence of who you are. Because I think that's super, super important. Building a business that aligns with your lifestyle, not the lifestyle you want in 10 years, the
Yeah.
lifestyle right now,
Yeah.
right? That gives you the time, like all the things you left corporate for. And then
Mm,
building it in a way that is sustainable, easy, not easy, like it's so easy, but we get rid of all the fluff and all the
yeah.
nonsense and all the shiny objects. Here's what you actually need. Do these 3 things, these 4 things every day, and then go and enjoy your life.
Yeah.
And your business will grow. And it's making sure that everything is personalized again to what I call your 5 capacities: your time, your energy, your resources, your money, and your support system, because those are different for everybody.
Love that so much. I'm so excited. Like, I think, there's so many people out there that have that. Well, I mean, I've known this over the last 5 years of having the corporate escapists. That's the biggest thing, is the identity shift. I've gone
Hmm.
through it.
Yeah,
And I highly recommend anyone who is thinking of leaving corporate, even if you don't want to start your own business, like if you want to just have a career change, I think you also need to work with a coach to be able to shift that identity as to where you want to go, that pathway that you want.
absolutely. Yeah. That transition is it's big and it's heavy, and I don't think people realize,
Yeah.
you need someone to reflect back to you the
Yeah.
truths that are coming up, because no times you're going to gaslight yourself.
Yes.
So you need someone to hold that mirror up for you and say, really though?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I love the question. One of my coaches even asked me last week. It's like, is that true? I'm like, no, it's not. I'm just feeling it right now. But it's not true. Like, you got to feel all the feels. And I think a lot of people think, oh, well, you're already so far ahead in business. Like, you're not going
Yeah.
to have meltdowns. I'm like, oh, I have meltdowns. Like it's just normal. Like, we're human beings.
Yeah.
We're going to feel everything. So I absolutely love what you're doing. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to share this. Before you go, we've got a couple of questions that we ask our guests.
Sure.
Um, so one of the things I love is that I think as business owners, we forget to celebrate. So what's something that you have achieved in the last 30 days that you haven't celebrated?
Oh my gosh, in the last 30 days that I haven't celebrated. Oh, well, I signed 2 new clients, which I did
Amazing.
not even, I just,
Yeah.
and so I didn't celebrate that. And also I'm very proud of the fact that we are now 4 years making more money than I did in corporate,
Yeah.
because I started in August of 2018. So we're kind of coming up on that
Yeah.
anniversary. And that's like net, net money coming in
Yeah.
that, and it didn't require having to go against my morals or my ethics or cheat anybody. I just,
Mm.
it's been such an incredible validation of the choice
Yeah.
that I made. Yeah.
Amazing. I love that so much. The next question we ask is then, what's one big goal that you've got for the next 30 days and how can we support you?
Oh gosh. I am at the point in my career now where speaking, especially
Mm.
to young women, older women, girls, about, leadership and how we redefine that as
Yeah.
women in this new era of everything. I am starting to look for speaking opportunities to spread that message. And I would always love a little bit of a referral or a point in the right direction.
Amazing. Well, we're going to keep that in mind because we also have a private Facebook group. So we actually get mentors who come in every month and run a masterclass. So we'll send you the application form for that. So that would be
Thank you.
amazing. So now we've got
Fantastic.
5 very random questions, and these are
Okay.
just so that people can get to know you personally. So are you a tea or coffee person in the morning?
Coffee.
Oh yeah, yeah. I knew
Coffee.
you were my girl. I knew it. Just okay. Would you prefer the country or the beach for a holiday?
The beach.
Yeah.
Fewer bugs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's something about the water. It's just so calming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Would you, if you've got spare time, would you prefer to curl up and watch a movie or read a book?
Oh no. Both.
I did
Movie.
that
I'll go with
last
movie.
night. I actually did that last night. I had a movie that I've watched multiple times because I have like ones that I play on repeat. And
Yeah.
then I was reading a book
Well,
because
it's it's the book reading movie, right?
yeah,
Like you got the movie in the
yeah,
background when you need to take a break from the book, and then
yeah.
yeah, I've done that all the time.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And if you were to have a dinner party and you're allowed to invite one special guest that is either from the past or from the present, who would that be?
Ooh, Prince.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, that would be amazing. Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And in one word, how would you describe yourself?
Dragon.
I love that. I love that so much. I love it. Sarah, I absolutely love what you're doing. And thank you so much for being here today and sharing your gifts with us. And for everyone who is watching this episode, if you've got any questions, make sure you put them below. If you've liked the episode, make sure you hit the like. Thank you again, Sarah, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
My pleasure. And if you have loved this episode, remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And remember to live life to the fullest every single day. Love and light to you all.